Having completed that vast matrix of information, which is basically the more the data and kind of the product analysis, now we're going to go to the people part. Stakeholder identification and preliminary analysis is the next exercise. Who are the stakeholders? Here we see a group of viewpoints that need to come together to make this charrette drawing a reality. Everybody from the fire chief to urban designers to business owners, elected officials, neighbors, developers, people who are affected by the outcome and can really make the product happen. People who can make this drawing become a reality and where this reality can make their lives better. The stakeholder analysis is another matrix. It's going to be asking you to identify the viewpoints that need to be represented for there to be a holistic conversation, the people, their affiliations, what constitutes a win for each one, and how they're going to be involved. Now I want to really call your attention to these 6 different qualifications of stakeholders, because we use the word stakeholder pretty generously, like basically it's everybody. But specifically, it represents the decision makers, those people who provide valuable information, those people who are affected by the outcome, those people who may have the power to promote the project and or block the project, and very importantly, those who are historically left out of planning processes. Here we see again our 3 levels of stakeholders. Again, the primary stakeholders, secondary and general stakeholders, some of which are more involved than others. What we'll be doing in this exercise is trying to identify who are in the 3 circles and how are they going to be involved. Here are examples of the different levels of stakeholders. Under primary, generally it's elected and appointed officials, agency staff, property owners. Secondary stakeholders are usually organizations of non-governmental sorts, businesses, faith-based groups, neighborhood groups. And then general stakeholders are anybody in the area, community members, and people affected by the outcome. Here's the matrix you're going to use in the stakeholder analysis. So, working again as you would be in a team of people in the project startup meeting, we ask the question, first of all, what are the important viewpoints that have to be represented for this to be a holistic discussion to make sure that we have the best outcome and the right people are involved, according to those 6 categories that I gave you just previously. So for instance, the viewpoints of elected officials, neighborhood activists, property owners, developers, health officials, and on and on. And then who are the people and their issues for these projects? You're going to refer to the case study to fill this out. And very importantly, and this is where it gets most creative in this exercise, what do you think constitutes a win for these people to be involved? Now, why do we care about that? Well, one of the biggest challenges to community planning is trying to get people in the meeting who represent those 6 categories that I gave you in a previous slide. The people affected, the people left out, and so forth. How do you get people other than the regular meeting goers to come? This is the biggest challenge practically there is in community planning. Well, one of the ways is you understand what constitutes a win for them to get there. Let's take, for instance, the example of the business owners. Business owners are very busy people, and they are sometimes among the hardest to get to come to public meetings. Like, why should I come? What's in it for me? How's it going to benefit my business? If you can show a business owner that by being involved, they might be able to participate in a holistic solution for the downtown along with their fellow business owners to increase walkability, and that's going to basically increase your business. That's a win for them, increase their business, right? So knowing that, you can go to these people in interviews or in communications or in whatever fashion and relate to them that out of this process, their business might get better. That might get them coming to the meeting. This is why you need to find out the win. Then we're going to go through what level do they represent in an outreach strategy and how they're going to participate in the charrette. Let's talk about that last column in the matrix, the charrette participation part. I'm going to go back to an earlier conversation we had about how the charrette works, and here we have our classic 7-day charrette model. The meetings that are in color are the meetings that we're looking to schedule in the charrette the stakeholder analysis, that last column. We need to find out who needs to have special meetings in the charrette. For instance, a transportation meeting, an environmental meeting. These are apart from the evening public meetings. They are topical, they are sometimes political, but they need to be scheduled. So that last column of the stakeholder analysis is to indicate who needs to be scheduled for these special meetings. And that what you're going to do later on in the charrette scheduling exercise is to actually schedule those meetings in your charrette schedule.